Hello, Defender family. Welcome to another episode of the Defender Roundtable. I'm Terrence Harris, and in the spirit of Father's Day, we're bringing you a special episode of the Roundtable where the focus is on Black fatherhood. And to help me with this important discussion, we've convened a special guest panel, which consists of Dr. Eric Waters, who's a member of 100 Black Men and also Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. We have Derek Muhammad, who's a local leader, organizer, and author. We also have Marcus Sullivan, who's an operations manager for KTSU, and we also have Willie Mitchell from Black Fathers Matters. Gentlemen, welcome.
For me, Father's Day, especially this coming year, is it's a difficult time because both my biological and stepfather have transitioned, the latter just last year. It's definitely a bittersweet time, a time for remembering those legacies, but also it serves as a reminder of the possibilities for me to become a good father and follow in those footsteps, and also a reminder of the obligation that I have to stand in the gap for the next generation and try to give them the things that I may have missed out on.
Awesome. Derek,
Father's Day for me personally means nothing, to be honest with you, for me personally, because I'm one who tends to not recognize any quote unquote European holiday. And I believe that recognizing this one day out of 365 days a year as being Father's Day, um, it's just another commercialized day. So if I don't get anything for Father's Day from my children, I'm fine with it. I always tell them that the best gift that they could give to me is just to continue bettering themselves and being great human beings. So, but in the larger sense, which is much more important than my personal point of view, I think Father's Day is a day of reflection for all of us who have been given the divine duty of being fathers over these beautiful, sacred lives. I was taught that the children that we have don't belong to us. The children that we have belong to God. And because they belong to God, we will be judged and graded by the Almighty by how we perform our duty to the children. But as Black fathers, when you compare the way fatherhood is perceived in the Black community versus the way it is celebrated and perceived in other communities, um, it is a bittersweet day in the Black community. And it is not celebrated in the way that Mother's Day is celebrated in the Black community for those who celebrate it. This is something that we can't overlook. I mean, it's right there in your face to the point where certain greeting cards companies are now selling Father's Day cards, but for mothers. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there is a dynamic that is very, very hurtful. And it's not just about Father's Day, it's a pain that carries throughout the year, but it's illuminated in June on Father's Day. So for me, it means very little. I don't care. It's just another European holiday. But for us as a community, it's bittersweet, unfortunately.
I respect that perspective. Uh, Marcus, what about you?
Those two brothers gave really good answers. I'll try to break down just a few words of what Father's Day means, and I won't just say what it means to me, but what it is a chance to me. It's a chance to for appreciation, right? For reflection, a celebration, and I look at it as an opportunity to put men who are doing what they're supposed to be doing on display, right? I agree with Brother Muhammad on there. It is a lot of things that Father's Day could be made as a mockery. It can it could be a joke. It could be so many different things. And this the stigma, the stereotype of it is one thing. So I look at it and go, all right, well, for one day, let us celebrate, let us appreciate, let us put on display that the men that are doing or going above and beyond or doing what they're supposed to do. Let's put that on display and let's kind of get rid of the stereotype for a day, right? For a minute. Then y'all can get back to it. But for this day, let's point out the people who are doing what we supposed to be doing.
For sure. And Willie, we'll jump to you and get your thoughts.
I'm pretty much well, I like what brother Muhammad said. Like, I really don't like Father's Day to me is just another day for me because I'm just doing what I'm doing what I seen my father do, and that's all I know how is to be a great mentor, a great father, a great dad to my son, and I like I like seeing other fathers do good, so I like to go out and honor other fathers year round, pretty much.
I mean, if I could be transparent, I mean, I grew up pretty much without a dad. I mean, my mom was a single mom who was, had to do it all. So I didn't necessarily have that experience, but I got the chance to see a lot of great pictures, whether it be from uncles, friends, family members. So I mean, I got an idea what a father was supposed to look like from that. But I just wanted to talk to you guys about just kind of what are some of your great, strongest memories of growing up with your fathers?
I mean,
Eh,
Uh,
I'll go first. My strongest memory, let me say I didn't grow up with my father, but my strongest memory of him was a day when he came and kidnapped myself and my brother from elementary school. My dad was a street guy. He was a hustler, and we very seldom saw him. Let me go back. So the man whose name is on my birth certificate is my stepfather. So for the first 8 or 9 years of my life, I believed he was my father. And then one day I got a phone call at my grandmother's house from this other man who told me, hey, I'm your real dad. So I met my biological father at the age of 8 or 9 years old. So one day he just popped up at the school and kidnapped us you know, and kept us for like almost a week. It was bizarre, but um, I felt like that particular day, he said, you know what, all of the hustling and whatnot, I'm going to put that to the side and I'm not going to let anything stop me from being a father to my sons on this particular day. Um, a couple of years after that, he passed away. So I did grow up without a father in that sense. But the one thing that I can remember that he said to me, because I wanted to be a street guy like him, he told me, don't be like me, be better than me.
Like you, Terrence, I was raised mostly in a single parent household. My parents divorced when I was very young. So my biological father, I didn't see him except for like holidays or during summer or because he lived out of state.
Yeah.
However, during the times I spent with him, I did get a couple lessons from him. Um, Me being an only child, what some might consider as a nerd, socially awkward. Early on, I did have some self-confidence problems, but he always inspired me to know my worth and know my value, and to never settle for less than I deserve. Um, he also told me how to dress. He had this immaculate collection of hats and suits and watches and shoes. So, I was dressing like a grown ass man, even early on, based off that influence. Growing older, when my mother remarried, my stepfather uh, gave me some more unique, distinct lessons. Something that I learned from him was to take an interest in my community outside of my home. Just as he took an interest in me, he was interested in all of the young men in the city of Detroit where I grew up. Also, I learned from him how to be an optimist. If you can identify a problem, you should be able to identify a solution.
Yeah.
And then finally, he taught me that you can have influence without discipline. He never raised his hand or his voice to me, but his influence on me was always strong and continues to be strong.
Awesome. Anybody else want to jump in there?
Um, I, I'll jump in there, and when we start sharing memories about fatherhood, I think we all may be somewhat in the same generation, I'll say,
Yeah.
and I've kind of started to notice, right, that our generation, right, um, all have pretty much somewhat little bit similar story. A lot of us from our generation, single parent home.
Yes.
I look at it and I go, man, if this is a generational thing, right? And you look at the generation of us now being fathers, I think the fact that a lot of us grew up without fathers in the home or single parent homes is what makes the generation now or makes it cool now because you see a lot of us that are pro fatherhood now,
Yeah.
right? Um, and it's crazy when I look through my phone and my address book, it is the norm that everybody that I hang with is in their kid's life, right? And I think I may have been in the barbershop and we were having barbershop talk and it was just like this barber, that barber. Everybody was like, yeah, my dad wasn't there. And all of us are like champion parents, right? And I think it was just like it's like a generational thing. But to answer that question, man, I too, single parent home. Dad was in and out of my life. We had good moments. We had moments where we had stretches of 5, 8 years where we wouldn't talk. We have, I'm sure not all of us, some of us got the stories of, hey son, I'm on the way and I don't show up.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I played ball, right? And I got a story. My dad came out of the stands cheering for the other team, right? And so, I mean, we all got those stories, and
Yeah.
it's funny. And I'm still blessed that, and my dad's ill right now. Um, that my dad is still around and he's watched me become a man even without his leadership and his guidance in it, and now it's at a point to where I'm almost caring for him at his old age with no bitterness to it, so that does still show the love uh, of Christ of God uh, that a person still can have without a person being in their life. So I could tell stories all day of memories, but they probably won't be that good.
Yeah. And the same way with me, like, I felt like I had a great life. My mom gave me an excellent life, and she was there. She was the one that was teaching me how to box. She play football, play basketball, and all of those things, right? But when I had children, I mean, one of the things I made up in my mind early on was that, I was going to be a different type of dad. I needed to be there, every step of the way. I needed to just to support them, to love them, and to be real involved in their lives. And so that's always been a big thing for me. And even though like me and their mom's relationship didn't work out, I made sure to have equal share joint custody of my kids because I wanted them to always know that I was there for them, and I didn't want to be a every other weekend dad or anything like that. And so I made that work. But I wanted to ask you guys, I mean, like, how did I mean how did your experiences, with your dad influence how you decided to be dads? I mean, what kind of conscious decisions you made now? And I know, like with you, Marcus, for instance, I know that you're, super, super involved with your kids, so, I mean, how did that, influence you?
I'll be real short on here. Did anybody on here use the blueprint of their father not being in their life as a gem of what the feeling that you don't want your kids to have? Because that was my blueprint. I was like, the things that hurt or I missed, okay, that was a perfect blueprint of what not to do. So that, I just use that. Well, the things that wasn't good for me, I don't do.
Okay.
Well, for me, I can't say that because up until the day my dad died, he was in my life. Like he was always there. Like even when him and my mama got divorced, whatever, whenever I called him, he was there. He did the moments when he when you made me laugh. So you say when he said he was on his way, he, he showed up. He might have been 3 4 hours late, but he always he always showed up. So like I don't have those type of stories. My father was in my life from like the very beginning, and I'm like the opposite. Like that's what I want for my child. So I do that like for my child. That's the blueprint for me because my dad was there. So I'm gonna be there for my child.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's the excellent experience to have. I mean, and I think, in our communities, we have a little bit of everything. I mean, and so, like it's never just all one sided or one way. And our parent relationships are just can be different as well. And one of the things that I've noticed, guys, and tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, it seems like the role and idea of fatherhood with our generation has changed and expanded. I mean, we do so many more things than maybe we saw traditionally with our dads. I mean, that they were the workers, the providers. I mean, and for the most part, a lot of times that might have been kind of it. But we've seemed to take a different stance. I mean, and I want to talk about just kind of how fatherhood has evolved. I mean, we got this thing now called a girl's dad. And things like that. I mean, how has the role changed and expanded in your minds? And we can uh, we can start with you, brother Muhammad.
And that's a really good question, Brother Terrence. How has the role of father changed and or expanded? I would have to say that the role, as far as its divinity, has not changed. I believe that it is the father's role to be the protector, to be the provider, to be the covering for his children, the covering for his family. Those roles don't necessarily change. You see the same roles being taken up in nature. You can go to the jungle and you see a similar role being taken by the male who is over the pride, over the family. So I don't know if the role has changed, but circumstances have changed. Society itself has changed. I mean, I'll give you an example. My oldest child moved away from Houston in 2004. So I was a distant parent, which was probably the most difficult thing that I've had to do in my entire life. Back then, they didn't have what they call FaceTime. Now you have FaceTime, you have modern technology, and modern technology can close the gap between a distant parent and his child if you use it properly. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I don't think the role has changed. And I think that's part of the problem. The problem is we're trying to switch out that which is divine and change the role when that doesn't need to be changed. What we need to do is get back to the basics of what fatherhood is. And I'll tell you a quick story. I once read the memoirs of this young lady who she was in her 90s at the time, but she was born on the plantation. So she was what they call the child slave. But she was born in an outhouse with her mother and her father. Well, she said she didn't even know that she was a slave because there was so much love in her household. But her parents were the property of a plantation owner who had lost his wife. And he would look at this family that he had charge of their entire life, but he would be jealous of their happiness. So he sold the father to the plantation down the street. And what the father would do is he would creep out at 3 a.m. in the morning to come and visit his wife and his child. Now, when the slave owner saw this, he was so hateful of their happiness that he would wait up at night and wait to catch him, the father visiting his daughter and his wife, and he would beat him. So she said she would wake up some mornings and she would see a trail of blood from their home where they lived, traveling in the direction where she know her father had been sold, until one morning she followed that trail of blood and they found her daddy's body. This is a true story of Black fatherhood. So this man went to his death to be a father to his child. And I recount that story every time I talk to brothers who speak about the hardships that they face. And those hardships are real. But I don't think the role has changed. I don't think we need to change. I think we need to get back to the basics of what fatherhood really is. Fatherhood is unconditional love. Fatherhood is protection. Fatherhood is provision. Did my father's absence make me want to be more present for my children? I mean, it may have had some influence. I'm pretty sure it did. But to be honest with you, I just love my baby so much that I think I was gonna do that anyway.
For
You
sure.
know, and the last thing I'll say is this, and I'll shut up. We also have to get rid of the stereotype that just because some of us grew up without our fathers, that we're bitter, or that we hate our fathers, or that we have some kind of hang up of man. I love my daddy. I, I, I feel like had he lived longer, he would have gotten himself together. I feel like he just didn't live long enough. But I love my father, and I don't think you can hate your father without having a little bit of self-hatred for yourself. Because if we're all born with 46 chromosomes, you get 23 from your mama, you get 23 from your daddy. You mean to tell me that you only love your mother, but you hate your father? That's like hating half of yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point, brother Muhammad. I look like he's gotten frozen again. But let's move it on. And Marcus, what about you? I mean, how have you seen? I mean, how have you tried to take what you had and evolve it into something different, or how in your mind has fatherhood evolved?
The Cosby Show. No, I'm just playing. No.
Man, hey,
Nah, man. I grew up, how people say I come from the curb, right? Like that whole thing. I grew up hard. A lot of us grew up hard, right? A lot of us.
yeah,
And man, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you get an education, you get a little old job, and you kind of make something of yourself. Um, I get a joy when I say fatherhood has changed, man. I get a joy, me, out of seeing my boys do some of the things I could only imagine, right? Or take them places I wanted to go. Like Disney World was Nickelodeon for me, right? My kids, we've been a few times, right? And so like I think fatherhood has changed because I think today a lot of us aim, especially black fathers, aim to make fatherhood cool, right? I got a social media post that I got saved in my drafts, and I on Sunday I can't wait to put it out, right? Right. When is this air? I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna tell it now, right? I got a post, man, that says, "I'm raising men that your daughters don't have to heal from."
bam! I like,
Boy,
I love that.
because, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I don't know, fellas, if you got daughters. I got 5 boys, right? And if y'all been boys before, y'all know we might have caused some scars in somebody's And so,
Absolutely.
man, I get a joy out of watching my boy. And I think somebody said on here, "Don't be like me, be better." Dad said that to them. That's the man. That's the thing. Like, yo, to see our kids do better than us,
Mhm.
that's like, that's the trophy that I want right there, right, man? I want to see my boy. I digress.
Yeah. Now,
That
Eric,
post coming out though. Retweet it when it come out.
let's look forward to it. Eric, want you to jump in here a little bit. I know um, I know you're not a dad, but you work with a lot of young men and young women through your organizations, and I'm sure you encounter dads. How have you seen these roles kind of evolve and become maybe better, stronger?
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, through my membership in Alpha Phi Alpha and 100 Black Men, I've been working with Black boys coming from single parent homes for over 20 years. I've been a listening ear, I've been a life coach, I've been an advisor, and a means of exposure. um, and through that experience, and just my personal observation and opinion, the evolution of fatherhood is best characterized not necessarily as something that's changed, but something that's expanded. Issues around mental health were once very taboo in the Black community, and now we're getting to a point where that's less the case. So, what today's father needs to do now, and what I've been trying to do as well, is exhibit emotional intelligence when dealing with young people, create environments of psychological safety where it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay not to be right all the time. And, to Marcus's point, you know, as far as fathering young men who women don't have to heal from. Perhaps today's father needs to rethink some of the more antiquated gender roles that we grew up with.
Yeah, good point. Willie, do you want to jump in here?
Uh, oh, I only been a father for 12 years, so y'all got a little more experience.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, but yeah, but even in those first 12 years, there's some, there can be some challenges. I mean, there could be some evolution, some growth, and just I've always, like I've heard, like from different men that I've been around, just how challenging sometimes as a Black father, it can be out here. And I wanted to talk to you guys also about just kind of the challenges that we face as Black fathers, whether it be, from just society, whether it be from, if you're not necessarily with your child's mom anymore, but having to deal with that and how that, how that may look and working through that. What are some of the challenges that you feel like, men face as Black fathers out here today? And we can jump in on Marcus if you care to.
Um, Black fathers, challenges. Us teaching our young men, our boys and girls, the way life really is out here in these streets, right? Um, Rewind a half a decade ago, we was having to have conversations with our kids, and my kids was 10 at the time, 8 at the time, of how to act when the police pull you over. You know what I mean? I guess that's some of the stuff that we gotta teach this, right? Like we gotta challenges, man. We got to teach financial literacy more. Challenges, um, man. You can look at something as superficial as teaching kids how to protect themselves, take them to the gun range at the age of 9, right?
Hmm.
Challenges. Oh my goodness, it's so many things. We say it all the time, and I don't know all of us kind of feel this. Y'all being a Black man ain't easy. We just make it look like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But if you start thinking of the stuff that we just wired and triggered to do, us providers, and Challenges? Uh, Leaving the house.
Mm, mm,
Challenge. Let's go. Right.
mm,
And stuff like that. I remember literally having those conversations. When the police get behind you, time to turn it on. Well, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Challenges. That's kind of stuff that you like, man. Then you start thinking, we grew up with dad teach us to put on the tie and put on the condom and all of that. Challenges. That's the kind of stuff you got to be able to have that relationship now because of the technology out there that your kids are open to talk to us. They didn't got to talk to us no more. They got this joint, right?
Right.
Challenges keeping those relationships locked to where they trust me and believe me,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
Challenges. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marcus pulled that phone out, and it really made me think that social media now has way too much influence on young people. We don't have leaders; we have influencers now. Whereas when I was coming up, I was reading Juwanza Kunjufu and Cornel West when I was in middle school. These days, people just go on YouTube or TikTok and they'll take direction and leadership from whoever has the most followers or whatnot. So I definitely see that being a major obstacle. The other one being that, as we all are now aware, the federal government has all but formally embraced white supremacy, authoritarianism, and fascism, making people in general feel helpless, but black people specifically feel helpless in how we navigate this world.
Awesome. Great response. Willie, do what do you see as some of the challenges?
So like I when I tell my son like by you being a little black boy in America, you gonna grow up with a target on your back. And so I tell her always, carry himself how I taught him. Try to do the right thing. Another thing, when I like when I if my son, I told him I would never tell him a lie because I don't want him to lie to me. So if he tell me something, I always know that's the truth. Right? I can always believe him. If somebody else said something that he did something wrong or whatever, I tell her if you did or you didn't, tell me the truth, and we gonna get through it together.
Man, this has been just a great discussion. I mean, enlightening. And I appreciate everybody's time on this one. This was special, and I hope maybe we can convene again and have some more men conversations. I've definitely enjoyed this, but our time is coming to an end here. So I just want to say to our listeners and viewers, if you like what you've heard today and want to hear more, click on our YouTube channel and press like. And just remember, support Defender journalism. Until the next time, guys, have a good one. And, and once again, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us for this conversation.